You've been talking to everyone else, friends, family, coworkers, strangers on the internet, but when was the last time you truly talked to yourself? I don't mean random thoughts that come and go. I mean talking to yourself out loud, deliberately, with intention. Because sometimes the most powerful conversation you'll ever have is the one you have with yourself. For just 3 days, I want you to do one thing. Talk to yourself. Not about your problems, not about what went wrong, but about who you are, who you want to become, and what you're capable of. Every morning when you wake up, stand in front of the mirror and speak life into your own reflection. Tell yourself, I am strong, I am capable, I am built for more. I am not who I used to be. I am becoming who I was meant to be. Do this for 3 days, just 3, and watch what happens inside you. Because the truth is, most people don't realize how cruel they are to themselves. They talk themselves out of dreams. They insult their own potential. They doubt their worth every single day. They feed their mind poison and expect to live a healthy life. But when you flip that conversation, when you start feeding your spirit encouragement, strength, and belief, your energy changes, your attitude changes, and your entire world begins to shift. When you talk to yourself with purpose, you reprogram the voice that's been trying to hold you back. That little whisper that says, you can't do this, starts losing its power. Every time you replace it with I can, I will, or I must, you take back control of your mind. You start realizing that life doesn't respond to what's around you. It responds to what's inside you. You start attracting peace instead of pressure, confidence instead of fear, and gratitude instead of doubt. And let me tell you something powerful. Your life will never rise higher than your self-talk. You can have talent, opportunities, and support, but if your inner voice is toxic, everything around you will fall apart. But if your inner voice is strong, if it's filled with faith, discipline, and courage, you can walk through storms and still move forward. You'll stop waiting for others to validate you because you already know your worth. You'll stop seeking approval because your spirit will already be aligned with purpose. For 3 days, silence the world and speak to your own soul. Tell yourself the truth about your strength. Remind yourself that you've survived everything that was meant to break you. Don't whisper, declare it, say it until you believe it. Because when you start speaking differently to yourself, you start living differently for yourself. Talk to yourself for just 3 days. Really talk, and you'll see what I mean. You'll walk taller, you'll think clearer, you'll feel lighter, you'll begin to understand that you've had the power all along. You just weren't talking to it. 3 days. That's all it takes to shift your focus, strengthen your spirit, and change your life. The question is, will you start today? Your words shape your mindset more than anything else. Every sentence you speak to yourself becomes a seed planted in your mind, and those seeds grow into beliefs that guide your actions. When you constantly tell yourself, I can't do this or I'm not good enough, you create mental barriers that stop you before you even begin. But when you shift that dialogue, when you start saying, I'm capable, I can learn, I can grow, you open doors within yourself that you didn't even know existed. The words you speak to yourself are not just sounds. They are signals to your brain that define how you see yourself and what you believe is possible. Most people underestimate the power of self-talk. They think words are harmless, but words are the foundation of mindset. Every successful person you admire started with belief, and belief began with language. The moment you start speaking possibility instead of limitation, your perspective begins to shift. You start to approach challenges not as obstacles, but as opportunities to prove your strength. You begin to act like the person you want to become because your words have already given that identity life. That's how transformation starts, internally through speech. Think about how many times you've talked yourself out of something because of fear. The fear didn't stop you. Your words did. You convinced yourself you weren't ready, that it wasn't the right time, that you might fail. But the opposite is also true. When you tell yourself you can handle it, your mind starts finding ways to make it happen. You start seeing solutions instead of problems. That's the power of your internal language. It shapes the way your brain responds to life. Your mindset is built moment by moment through the conversations you have with yourself. yourself. Speak negativity and your world becomes smaller. Speak possibility and it expands. You attract what you affirm. When you fill your thoughts with encouragement, motivation, and faith, you naturally align your actions with progress. You start living out the version of yourself that believes anything is possible. Your words don't just describe your life, they create it. The more you choose empowering words, the more you program your mind for victory instead of defeat. And that mindset becomes the driving force behind every success you'll ever achieve. You reprogram your inner voice when you start talking to yourself with purpose. For most of your life, that inner voice has been shaped by outside influences. What people said about you, how you were treated, and the mistakes you made. Over time, those experiences built a pattern of negative self-talk that plays on repeat in your mind. I'm not good enough. I'll never get there. People like me don't succeed. The problem isn't that those thoughts are true. It's that you've heard them so many times. Your mind accepted them as truth. But when you begin speaking to yourself differently, when you challenge that old voice, you start rewriting the script that has been holding you back. Your inner voice is powerful because it determines how you interpret the world around you. When it's filled with doubt, you'll always see reasons why things won't work. When it's filled with confidence, you'll start seeing reasons why they will. Talking to yourself with faith and conviction begins to rewire your subconscious mind. Every word you speak becomes a command that your brain tries to fulfill. If you say, I can't handle this, your brain shuts down and stops trying. But when you say, I can figure this out, your mind starts searching for solutions. You begin to build new mental pathways that favor courage instead of fear. Reprogramming your inner voice doesn't happen overnight, but it starts the moment you decide to stop letting your thoughts run on autopilot. You become the editor of your own mental dialogue. You catch yourself when you speak weakness and replace it with strength. You interrupt the lies and replace them with truth. You remind yourself that you are not your past. You are your potential. Slowly, that new language becomes your default. The old voice grows quieter and the new one grows louder, guiding you toward peace, confidence, and clarity. When you're in, your voice changes. Everything around you changes. You start walking differently, thinking differently, and believing differently. The same situations that once made you anxious begin to feel manageable. The same challenges that once made you doubt yourself become opportunities to grow. It's not magic, it's mindset. By reprogramming your inner voice through powerful self-talk, you take control of your own story and finally begin to live from a place of strength instead of survival. You build emotional and mental strength when you learn to talk to yourself with power and purpose. Most people believe strength comes from what they've been through, but true strength comes from how you speak to yourself while going through it. Every challenge, every heartbreak, every setback becomes an opportunity to either break down or build up your inner foundation, and your words decide which one happens. When you tell yourself, I can handle this, even when you don't feel ready, you give your mind permission to stay calm and your heart the courage to keep going. Your words become armor for your emotions, helping you stay grounded when life tries to shake you. The mind listens to everything you say, and your emotions respond to every word. When your self-talk is filled with panic, doubt, and negativity, your body mirrors that stress. You lose focus, energy, and confidence. But when you fill your mind with steady, strong, and encouraging language, your emotions begin to stabilize. You stop reacting out of fear and start responding with clarity. You begin to realize that strength isn't about pretending everything is fine. It's about believing you can make it through even when it's not. Talking to yourself with faith becomes an act of emotional resilience. It's how you remind your heart to stay hopeful when your circumstances tell you to quit. Over time, this kind of self-talk trains your mind to stay steady under pressure. You stop spiraling over every setback and start processing challenges with calm determination. You begin to think before you panic, breathe before you break, and find solutions instead of problems. That's mental toughness, not the absence of struggle, but the ability to remain centered in it. Every time you encourage yourself, you strengthen your mental muscles, just like working out at the gym strengthens your body. And as your inner dialogue becomes more disciplined, so does your life. You become less controlled by emotions and more guided by purpose. You start to bounce back faster, recover quicker, and think clearer. It's not because life gets easier, it's because your self-talk makes you stronger. When your words align with strength, your spirit learns endurance. When your mind learns endurance, nothing can shake your peace. You activate personal transformation the moment you begin speaking differently to yourself. Real change doesn't start with new habits, new goals, or new circumstances. It starts with new language. The words you speak shape the way you see yourself, and the way you see yourself determines the way you live. When you begin replacing self-doubt with self-belief, fear with faith, and hesitation with confidence, you shift the entire direction of your life. You stop waiting for external validation and begin building your worth from within. You stop living according to what people think you can do and start living according to what you know you can do. That's where transformation begins, deep inside your mindset. Every word you speak to yourself carries energy. Negative words drain your power. Positive words restore it. When you tell yourself that you are capable, strong, and deserving, you activate something within your spirit that pushes you to take action. Your mind starts believing it, your emotions start feeling it, and your behavior begins reflecting it. You move differently, speak differently, and attract differently. People start noticing the change, but they won't understand that it began in the quiet moments when you chose to talk to yourself instead of tearing yourself down. Transformation doesn't shout. It starts with small whispers of truth repeated with consistency. Over time, that self-talk becomes a force that changes your entire reality. You begin letting go of the old version of yourself, the one that settled, the one that doubted, the one that feared failure, and you begin walking in alignment with your higher self. You start showing up as someone who believes they're worthy of growth, success, and peace. The more you speak life over yourself, the more your life begins to reflect that power. Opportunities begin to appear, not because the world suddenly changed, but because you did. Transformation isn't about pretending everything is perfect. It's about recognizing your power to rise above imperfection. It's about talking to yourself in a way that fuels your evolution. When you speak strength into your spirit, clarity into your mind, and peace into your heart, you awaken the person you were always meant to be. That's when real change begins, when your words become the blueprint for a new, unstoppable version of you. Everything you want to change in your life begins with a single conversation with yourself. The words you speak become the foundation of your mindset, the rewiring of your inner voice, the building of your emotional strength, and the spark of your transformation. You don't need the world to believe in you. You need to start believing in yourself out loud. For just 3 days, talk to yourself like someone who refuses to give up, like someone who knows they were created for more. Speak power into your pain, direction into your doubt, and peace into your chaos. Because when you change the way you talk to yourself, you change what you attract, how you react, and who you become. You begin to rise from the inside out. You'll start noticing that your energy shifts, your confidence grows, and your faith deepens. Not because life got easier, but because you got stronger. So starting today, silence the noise of the world and tune into your own voice. Speak to yourself with truth, with love, with conviction. For 3 days, make your words your greatest weapon and your greatest source of healing. And watch what happens. Watch your thoughts align, your heart strengthen, and your purpose unfold. You don't need anyone else's permission to change your life. All you need is your voice. Use it, believe it, speak it, because your words are the beginning of your miracle.